Bismillah ar-Rahman Rahim. So let us once again deal with the inventory, with the item. Inventory assemble is discussed. Next one is non-inventory parts. What is the purpose of this one? Use for goods you buy but don't track, like office supplies, materials for a specific job that you charge back to the customers. It is non-inventory. It is just the opposite of inventory. In the case of inventory, we purchase for resale purpose, but in this case, we purchase for the office use or we purchase it to charge directly for a particular customer. So we do not track this one as an inventory in the organization, right? So whatever you purchase for a specific job or whatever, for example, you purchase to be consumed during the organization, so please mention that one. So let me take two examples of this one. For example, number one, we purchase, we can say, uh, like office supplies, the best option. Office supplies means like papers and so on, which we need in the office, right? Unit of measurement, for example, let us say we purchase in dozens, and let us say, for example, the price, if later on, for example, if sometime if you sell it, right, but basically it's not the exact one. If later on you sell it, for example, how much should be the price of this one? Even no need for this one to mention the price of this one. Why? Because the office supplies will be used in the organization. If you sell it, for example, on that case, it is fine. Or for example, these are the products which you have and you want to directly charge for the customer, right? So in that case, also you can mention the selling price, right? Like the previous one, is also has two options. Whether you want to whether it has a cost or not. Like now, right now, I assume that, for example, for this one, there is a no cost. But usually there is a cost for this. If there is a cost, so please provide information regarding the purchase as well as provide information regarding the cost as well. But for office supply, there is no, of course, directly selling price, only there is a cost for this. So we purchase it to be used inside the organization, right? So if we sell, for example, if we purchase anything that we may sell directly back to the customers, on that case you have to select this part as well. So how much is the cost of this one? So on that case, so please do not take office supply, take something else. For example, take printer, right? Suppose we purchase a printer, later on we may sell it to someone else. So how much is the cost of that printer? For example, $100. Expenses should be linked with the specific expenses account. For example, it might be, for example, with the office supplies or asset account, for example. Not asset account, take it with the expenses. For example, take this one, printing and production, the company from whom you purchase. Suppose I purchase from this one. If sometime, for example, you sell it, how much you want to sell? Basically, you remember this point, even the cost also cannot be mentioned here. Why? Because it is not logical. The cost will be charged by the suppliers, but this is for the purpose of formality. I have just mentioned, I have filled up this one. But even do not mention the cost as well. Do not mention the selling price as well. Selling price can be set, yes, you can set it regarding your products, but not regarding in this issue. But the cost never cannot be mentioned. Why? Because it is the supplier who mentioned the cost for the product, right? But for the purpose of formality, so let's complete this one. If later on you sell it, for example, you can sell for 120, whether it's taxable or not. So you can mention whether taxable or not. And the income should be linked to any income account. For example, how many income account we have? Suppose this is belong to, for example, let's belong to sales account. So we have created a non-inventory part. This is basically for the usage in the organization, like can be office supplies and so on later ahead. But I have just taken as a printer as an example. You can mention anything as a proper example. Cost is this much. It should be belong to this expenses. If we sell, we should sell for this much. It should be taxable and should be belong to this account, right? So you can save it. Let's just go one more. Inventory assembly, non-inventory part is very simple. See, this part, the other charge, subtotal, discount, and payment will be discussed later on. Why? Because it depends on the customers, it depends on the vendors, and so on. First of all, we have to understand those people. First of all, we should create our customers and so on. Later on, we will come back and we will explain this part, right? But this part is simple. Group, for example, group is simple. What is the purpose of group? Used to quickly enter a group of individual items on the invoice. If sometime, for example, a particular customer regularly purchase a particular item from your organization, right? For example, each time which they order, they purchase 100 mouse, 200 printer, and so on, or keyboard and so on, whatever you have. If regularly they purchase a particular product, so for that purpose, no need to mention or enter those items individually each time. It is time consuming and so on. So for that purpose, make a group. For example, always Ahmad purchased this item from us, right? So mention Ahmad group. What group? Or group of Ahmad or Ahmad group. Group of or group for Ahmad, for example, right? Whatever is fair for you. Group for Ahmad. So mention the description. What is this one? Then print item in group, right? While printing this, basically this one, so whether the item should appear or not. So right now, the item may not appear. If you click on this one, the item also may appear. I will show you later on. So which item Ahmad want to purchase regularly from your business? They want to purchase battery. Always, when they order 10 battery. How many battery? 10 battery. For example, they purchase motherboard, 20 motherboard each time, for example, right? They always, when they order the RAM, they purchase, for example, 30 RAM as well. When they order, for example, they order this one screen as well, for example, right? So how many screens suppose they order for 40 screen as well. So these are the items which each time Ahmad ordered, they purchase from our business. For that purpose, I made a group simply. Later on, if you want to enter easily, you can find out so which items are available, right? So you can save this one as well. So this is the group for what? For Ahmad. If you click on this one, which items are available? These are the items which are available, right? So if you want to print this one, later on we will see, later on we will discuss regarding the print, how to print this one. When we discuss about the invoice and so on that time I will show you that how these items will appear on the print, right? So some of the topics are linked to each other, so we cannot discuss it all together. So this was regarding what? Regarding group. Next one is regarding sales tax item. Sales tax item means, for example, whether your organization charge sales tax or not. If your organization charge sales tax, so please mention which type of tax they charge. For example, my organization charge 10 percentage sales tax, right? So please description will be taken from here. Rent, sorry, rate should be clearly mentioned here. Doesn't matter which rate is mentioned here, but the exact rate should be mentioned here. Which rate should be mentioned? For example, 10 percentage rate should be mentioned here, right? 10 percentage. Tax agency, to which organization you're paying tax. Usually, of course, we pay tax to the Minister of Finance. So even this one also is a kind of vendor. In the next video, we will talk about the vendor, how to create your vendor. But for the time being, let me consider or let me make one vendor quickly. Uh, for example, we are paying this one for Ministry of, for example, Finance. Minister of Finance is collecting our tax, so we have to create in that way. One of the way. One. Second tax, for example, our organization also charge 15 percentage sales tax, right? Sales tax, right? So mention 15 percentage here as well. How many percentage? 15 percentage. Again, to whom you're paying that one? For example, we're paying this one to the Minister of Finance. Go next. We are paying, for example, 12 percentage tax as well. 12 percentage, for example, sales tax. But I can mention 12 percentage first. But this time, for example, we're not paying for Minister of Finance. For example, we're paying for the municipality. Yeah, municipality, for example, mentioned here, municipality. And of course, just save it, right? So 15 percentage tax will be paid to municipality. So save this one and okay. So in this way, you can create your tax, right? And sales tax item. Rest is, of course, next one is sales tax group. Sales tax group means if you want to charge several types of tax on a particular product. For example, you sell computer. You have to charge 10% tax of Minister of Finance, 12 percentage tax of municipality as well. So if group of tax to be charged on a particular product, on that case, you have to pay group of tax, for example, right? For example, group one. Let us call it group one, but you have to give an exact name for this one. In group one, which type of tax we want to charge? We want to charge 10% tax of Minister of Finance, as well as we want to charge 12% tax of municipality as well, right? So total tax become equal to how many percentage? 20 percentage. If later on you charge the group tax on a particular product, sales tax will be charged equal to how many percentage? 22 percentage, right? So thank you. This was information regarding tax, right? If in your case, for example, if sales tax is not activated, for example, see the point. When you come to this point, in most of you, for example, inventory information as well as sales tax information may not be available. If it is not available, go in the edit and count down to the preference. Preferences like the setting or setting it is like setting of the QuickBook. So it give or it sets the accounts and so on for you. So if it is not available there, it means it is not activated from here. So if it is not activated, so you can activate those items for you. So we have setting for account, for bills, for everything. We have settings we will discuss later on, but for the time being, if your tax is not available here, there, so please come here and find out sales tax, right? Select this one, either in my preference or company preference. In regarding my case, it is yes. If if that things are not available in your company, it means in your company it is no. Why it is no? Because at the time of installation of company, they ask you whether you charge sales tax or not. You said no. For that purpose, it is no. But for me, I said yes, so it is available here, right? So if it is no for you, please take it yes, right? When you take yes, so these things will appear for you. If you take no, these things will be closed up. But you have to take yes. When you take yes, so these things will appear. So once again, from here also you can add sales tax item like the previous one I have added, right? So once again, for example, let us take 5% sales tax, right? And to whom we are paying this one? We are paying this one once again to the Ministry of Finance, for example, right? Tax. Once again, you can add it. And here it shows the list of the tax which you have created. Already we have seen in the previous part as well. Here also we have seen this part, right? So this are the tax. And okay. Here it asks your common sales tax. Your common sales taxes, for example, 10%. Also in the edit, in the preference, they ask a few more points as well regarding the tax. Assign sales tax code. Give a code. For example, TAX stand for what? For taxable. It's good. And non stand for what? For non-taxable. If you think that, for example, this is not the proper words, then you can add your own codes, right? For example, and also just mention the maximum character is how many? It is 3. If you remember codes, one type of code was mnemonic code. We said abbreviation is needed. Now I need those abbreviation, right? For example, mention T only. T stand for what? Stand for what? Mention T stand for taxable, right? T for taxable. For what? For taxable. And also make it as what? As taxable. Stand for this one. Now one code has appeared. T stand for what? For non-taxable. If you think, for example, non is not fair, so you can mention your own, for example, NT. You can mention NT. NT stand for what? NT stand for non-taxable, right? So you can mention it non-taxable terms. Non-taxable. Stand for non. These are the codes which I have given here. When do you owe sales tax? As of the invoice date, accrual basis, upon the receipt of the payments. It depends on your business, whether your company or your company follow accrual basis of accounting or whether your company follow a cash basis of accounting. Cash basis of accounting means revenue and expenses will be considered as revenue and expenses only when cash is paid or received. On accrual basis, it depends on the transaction. When the transaction incurred in the business, so it will be considered as revenue as well as expenses, no matter whether cash is received or not. So now companies follow which type of accounting method? Accrual method of accounting, as it is one of the principles of accounting. When do you pay sales tax? Are you pay on monthly basis, on yearly basis, on quarterly basis? Right now, companies are paying on quarterly basis, so please take quarterly basis, right? In this way, you can edit your sales tax, right? So once again, if you come back to this part, again, you can add sales tax from here as well, right? And one more thing I mentioned, for example, if you open, for example, this part, if inventories are not available in this part, it means at the time of creating your company, you have selected no need for inventory, no need to manage the inventory. That is why those items does not appear here. So once again, come back for the preference and click on this part. Where's the inventory? Yeah, item and inventory. See, for me, it is yes, inventory and purchase order are active. So if you did not select at the time of installation of the company, it is deactive. So please active this one, right? So active this one, then those things will appear in your QuickBook. Rest of the things will be discussed inshallah later on. So now let me come back to this point. Service is discussed, inventory part, this part. Other charge, subtotal, discount and payment will be discussed in the next group. Group is discussed, sales tax as well as this point. So thank you.